1112, and we encourage your questions and comments. Now, without further ado, here's your host, L. Nathan Hare.
Good morning. All right now. So with that good morning, I know you know this is not L. Nathan Hare. This is actually Samuel L. Radford III, and I want to say good morning to everybody. It's a beautiful day here in Buffalo, New York. You know what? We having a beautiful day. L. Nathan Hare is in Florida. He's not here with us today. He's on a very, very well-earned and deserved vacation, enjoying himself and with time with his family down in Florida. And listen to me, family. Let me tell you, if there's a such thing as the hardest working man in show business, it's definitely the hardest working man in not-for-profit or community work, and that is Mr. L. Nathan Hare. And if there's anybody who needs a vacation or can benefit from a vacation, because he works so hard, is our boss, Mr. L. Nathan Hare. So I will be sitting in for you this week, so let me invite you to say that you are listening to the Living Now broadcast. I'm your host for this next hour here on WUFO. Our principal sponsor is the Community Action Organization of Western New York, still fighting the war on poverty now in our 52nd year. I should say we have our annual meeting coming up next month, actually. We'll be going to our 53rd year in June. I want to welcome you all again to an hour of insight, introspection, and interpretation of facts, events, and trends affecting you right here and right now in Buffalo and Western New York community and other communities around the country. Each month we will focus on a theme that we feel will be of interest to you, which will motivate you will serve to connect you to the broader issues that affect our communities here in Western New York. As the Spirit moves us, we'll break into our regular format to discuss timely issues and circumstances we just can't responsibly avoid. Today's program is live, so you can call in and join us. Our phone number here at WFO 96.5 on your FM dial, W1080 on your AM dial is 837-1112. That's 837-1112. So feel free to join us and call in. You can also join us on Facebook Live. We are live streaming. I'm joined here by my son, Emmanuel. Good morning, Emmanuel. How are you today? Good morning. We are, you can go to the CAO or to my Facebook page, and you will be able to get the live stream as well. So, you know, one of the things I just said is that, you know, we will break into our regular format to discuss timely issues and circumstances that we just can't responsibly avoid. And so, although Mr. Hare is consistent in terms of his work and focus on education, we want to focus specifically, particularly on education. So, listen, everybody, if you watching or you listening, if you know anybody who has children in Buffalo Public Schools, ask them just to take a minute, tune into this broadcast. Go get them. Call them on the phone, text them, share, communicate with them some kind of way. Because we have to have a community discussion about what's getting ready to happen with our kids. Listen, there is a battle for our children going on, and everybody is in the battle. And we are in the best position to do something about it right now. We're probably in a better position to do something about it than we ever have been in our history. But we all got to be in this discussion. So if you know people who are sitting around on the sidelines, hoping things work out for their children, we coming up on graduation next month. And so you know whether your children are going to make it or not make it. You need to be in this conversation because, listen, I mean, if anybody saw yesterday's Buffalo News, you know that a huge move was just made by our state legislature to essentially, say that teachers don't have to be evaluated. They don't want the standardized tests to be used to evaluate our teachers. So that's a major issue, and you either you can talk about it now or you can talk about it later. But the teachers have organized themselves to protect their interests. If you've been paying attention to the national news, you know that we have a Secretary of Education that has a full-scale assault on public schools. And we have to know that that's the reality of that's where the majority of our children are at. So the question is, where are we at? Where are we at in this discussion? So let me kind of like do two things here, right? And then the third thing, let me do this. Let me just say, now, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on a national level. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on at the state legislature, but I'm also want to end this discussion, too, with something that's going on a local level. A couple months back, we had the teachers union here, teachers union president here, Phil Woolmore, who attacked one of the members of our district parent coordinating council, our first vice president, Dr. Wendy Mistrada, personally. He wrote a letter where he personally attacked her. And so he's now backed that up, with a personal attack on another parent in our community, Adrian Romanowitz, a letter that he's written to attack her. You know what I'm saying? This is after the teachers union have come together and put together this essentially attack on parents in general, with this survey that came out. Listen, everybody, if we continue to sit around and take these attacks and do not defend parents, do not defend our children, the teachers union has made it crystal clear that they're going on a full-scale assault, and if we don't do nothing about it, what they'll do is they're going to fight for their interests at the sacrifice of ours. Now, I'm not suggesting anything beyond us being aware and being prepared to do something about it if necessary. We've already engaged the superintendent. We've engaged the district committee of stakeholders. There is a planned meeting to, come together to do a circle to kind of work through this. So there's an effort to deal with it, but that hasn't stopped the union from its attack. And so the question is, what are we going to do? And we're just going to sit here and, clearly I get calls every day with parents who have issues with teachers specifically, but we're not putting out letters attacking individual teachers, putting teachers' names out there for, other parents to be aware of, which maybe we should consider based on how the teachers are attacking parents. But that's something that we're going to be talking about on our show today. We are in a critical moment in Buffalo public school history community. And so I'm asking you, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, share it with your other people. Let's have a discussion. Let's have a community discussion about this today. All right. So here's the first thing that we got to discuss. We don't even have a choice in this matter, is we got to talk about Mrs. Bessie DeVos. Here's the reality. Mr. Hare laid out, a wonderful outline about the real challenge that we have right now by having a Secretary of Education who does not have any background in education. We are seeing the consequences of it. And when we look at just recently, she's appointed somebody who is a person who is works in the for-profit college industry into a key position within this Department of Education. And so there's been a lot of pushback because of her appointment of Diane Orr Jones. She's a former education official under George W. Bush and a former senior vice president at the Career Education, a college operator. The only point I want to do by putting this out here is to say, listen, community, if somebody is planning something for our children, I'm talking about, whether this is our children at the K through 12 level or our children through the college levels, generally when people sit down and plan, they plan in their own interests. So if we are not at the table while the plan is going on, you ever heard that phrase? If you ain't at the table, you on the menu? You know what I'm saying? You know what that means? That means if you're not part of the plan on what's going to happen, people exploit and take advantage of that. You're going to see this as a theme as I talk through this today, right? As I go through the show, you're going to see as a theme where people are planning because they believe we're not planning. They believe that we don't have the best interest of our children, in mind. So what they're doing is they're taking advantage of what they believe to be a lack of a plan on our part. But they're wrong, all right? So let me kind of give an overview, first of all, before I get, deep into what I think our challenge is dealing with the Secretary of Education, Bessie DeVos. First, let me give you an overview of Buffalo Public Schools. That there's no question about the fact that I've been a frequent critic of Buffalo Public Schools. As it relates, when you look at the graduation rate, the reading and math scores, we, the Buffalo District Parent Coordinating Council, the Buffalo Local Action Committee, a lot of community groups that I've been involved in, we have been consistently challenging where we have been as a community, as it relates to specifically what's going on with our children, the outcomes we are getting. Now, what I'm going to say to you right now, hear me clearly. I believe there has not been a better time in the history of Buffalo Public Schools to be a Buffalo Public School parent or a Buffalo Public School student. That's my honest assessment. My honest assessment is that what we have seen with this superintendent, Dr. Connor Cash, is that we have seen something that has not happened in the history of Buffalo Public Schools in terms of the focus on our children and focus on in terms of the resources getting down to the classroom. I'm talking about things that we have been fighting for years. Is taking place in Buffalo Public Schools right now. And I can give example after example, just so nobody gets confused about it. I'm going to give a couple. So I'm going to give a really one that matter to a lot of people. One of the big issues that we've had in Buffalo Public Schools is that our children are bused out of our neighborhoods from a failing school in the neighborhood to a failing school outside the neighborhood. Dr. Cash, the current Board of Education, has mobilized and organized himself with the support of major support of the state legislature. Assemblywoman Crystal Peoples was a leader in this to create these community schools, and Dr. David Mauricio, who has been really the point person on these community schools, who, by the way, has just got a new job. He's been hired as the Peekskill New York School District new superintendent. So congratulations, Dr. Mauricio. You need it. That's a major loss to our community, by the way. But the community schools has been under his responsibility. He has done an outstanding job. But what it really has done is focus on intentionally getting children to go to schools in their neighborhood, intentionally focusing on making that school building be open in the neighborhood. I remember I used to go on the radio show, and I would talk about the fact that you could go into our community. You will see children have portable basketball hoops on the side street where they're playing basketball next to a school. It's a school building right there. The school building literally has a gym in it, has swimming pools in it, has computer labs in it. The kids are outside because the school building closed at 4 o'clock, and you couldn't get in there. The school building was closed on the weekend. Under Dr. Cash, that has changed. Now you will see that the school buildings are open after school is open. We have 4 parent centers, on the east, west, north, south side, Bennett High School, East High School, Lafayette High School, South Park High School, our parent centers. So these schools are open after hours. They're open on weekend. We have all kind of opportunities for parents to be part of what happens in their own community. That did not happen. We've called for that for many years. That is going on. So when I say it's the best time, a lot of the work that we've done over the years has come to fruition and that things have changed. I'm going to give you a second example. You will remember that in 2011, 12, 13, and 14, we organized in the community because under the No Child Left Behind, which was the law at the time, you had the right to transfer out of a failing school into a school in good standing, which is a right that you still have, right? But when we did that the first year, we only got 200 parents to take advantage of that right. The second year, we only got 300 parents to take advantage of that right. The third year, we got 2,110 parents to take advantage of that right. And that changed everything. The state education, by the way, the fourth year, we got 1,100 parents, 1,108 parents to take advantage of it. But by the third year, the state education commissioner came in and said that you cannot leave children in failing schools when they have a right to transfer to a school in good standing. Because when we did it the first year, they didn't have enough seats. They said, yeah, you want to transfer your children to a school in good standing, but we don't have nowhere to transfer them to. And there's nothing you can do about it. We filed an appeal to the state education and the state education department and to the U.S. Department of Education. We won the appeal. They said the school district had to create new schools in good standing. And guess what we see happening year after year under Dr. Cash? We've seen New Emerson School open. We've seen a new school open at East. We've seen a new school open inside of Bennett. We've seen new school after new school. These schools have opened up as a result of that case that we filed and that lawsuit that we won when we filed the appeal in terms of our children having the right to go to school in good standing. So the superintendents before him did not move on it, did not act on it, did not change it. He has. We have the right superintendent. We have the right leadership. The school board has turned itself around. Carol Palladino has left the school board. All that, that infighting and the constant distractions that we saw on the school board, that's gone. That's of yesterday. The school board is focusing on our children and moving us in the right direction. So here it is. We had a critical moment to where things have gotten better than they ever have. I mean, when we first started fighting community, our graduation rate was oscillating between 40 and 50%. Now, since the advent of Say Yes to Education, where we have now every one of our children graduate from public or charter school gets to go to college, every single year we have seen our graduation rate go up. Our graduation rate has gone from 45 to 50 to 55 to 60 to where we are at 65% graduation rate. We've seen a huge jump in our graduation rate, and that is because of good leadership. That is because parents have organized themselves. Another other reason that's because, and this is going to become critical when we talk about at the end of the show. That is because of community collaboration. One of the best places to get an example of the community collaboration is the Say Yes to Education Operating Committee, where you see business at the table, not-for-profits at the table, higher education at the table. You see teachers union, you see the administrators union, you see parents, you see every facet of our community is there collectively working together in the best interest of our students. You see board members there, the region is there, the Board of Education members are there. You see all of us coming together, organizing to ensure that every one of our children get a quality education. Now, here's the concern. That has been working. That has got us where we are at. Now what we see, the superintendent comes in, there is no teacher's contract. We haven't had a teacher's contract since 1999. That expired in 2004. So from 2004 to 2016, 17, we did not have a teacher's contract. The superintendent came in, he settled that teacher's contract at considerable expense to the district, mind you. That teacher's contract settlement was not cheap. As a matter of fact, you see the struggle we having with the budget right now. It's a $16 million gap in our budget that the superintendent is organizing, mobilizing to try to get closed. But the main piece of that is the teachers' union contract. And in the middle of this collaborative effort that we have used to work together to get here and to make this progress, now we see at this critical moment, everybody pay attention, because what's going down now is that we see the teachers' union starting to rock the boat. They now going on the offense, going back to those old ways that they used to have, where they used to run around the town and bully everybody. And that's really what we see happening at this moment. The teachers union is making an effort to bully this community and to make everybody bow down and back up and do what they say do. So now they have, in my opinion, bullied the state legislature. Now they are fighting to say they do not want to be evaluated based on the test scores. Here we go. That was, everybody know that whole thing, maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but I'll explain it to you. When the whole Common Core battle took place, they decided to, because the underlying issue on why people were not having their children sign up or having their children opt out of the test was because the teachers union had joined in with the opt-outers because the test score was being used to evaluate. So what they decided to do is say, okay, we're going to, hold that off for up until 2019, 2018-19, we are going to, 2019-20, 19-20, I believe it is. We are not going to use it to evaluate test scores. We're not going to use the test scores to evaluate teachers. So that was put off. Teachers, it was put in lieu of waiting for a couple years. Now that is coming up. Also next year, the teacher's contract is up it was only a 3-year contract the superintendent negotiated. That's coming up. Also next year is coming up for the first time in history. Every 15 years, you have all 9 board members up for election next year. All these things are going on at the same time. So as we get ready to go to break, let me tell you, right now, it's probably the most critical time as parents, as community members, as taxpayers in Buffalo education history. If we don't mobilize and organize ourselves to move forward right now, we are going to be in trouble. So, hey, listen, Join me on the other side of the break. We got to go to pay some bills, go to commercial, pay some bills. This is Living Now here at 96.5 WUFO.
Do you want to increase your home's value? Do you want to lower your energy bills? Are you in need of affordable financing for your next home improvement project? The CAO Home Improvement Resource Program can help. Just come to their monthly HIRP orientation session every second Wednesday of the month at 560
Mother Doyle is
Building 400. HIRP staff will help identify the resources
Mother Doyle is online.
financed, and they'll even help you with completing your application. You won't know what you qualify for until you call them today at 881-6543. That's 881-6543. Learn about all the home improvement programs you may be eligible for and ask about the affordable financing program that can help turn your house into your dream home. Call 881-6543 for more info. It's the Home Improvement Resource Program, restoring value to neighborhoods across Erie County, one house at a time. Brought to you by the Community Action Organization of Erie County.
Good morning. This is Living Now on WUFO 96.5 FM on and 1080 AM on your dial. This is Sam Radford talking in for Mr. L. Nathan Hare this morning. Again, for those who have not been, who just tuning in, we're talking education. We're talking about this being a critical moment in the Buffalo Public Schools history. We are at a better point than we ever have been. And the question is, are we going to go forward or are we going to go backwards? So with that, we got a couple calls. We got some people who've joined in online. So, again, if you got some questions and you want to get into this discussion with me, call us at 837-1112. You got questions, you can go to our Facebook Live feed and you can post your questions there. So let's take a caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes. Good morning, Brother Sam.
Good morning, Mother Doyle. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing fine. A beautiful, beautiful day here in Buffalo. I think some of that Florida sunshine is up here.
Uh-oh. Yes,
ma'am. I'm glad Mr. Hare is enjoying himself. He certainly deserves his vacation. But I just want to make some quick comments. We are really going to miss Dr. Mauricio. I really agree with you on that. He will be a major loss to this district. I've always watched his presentations when I'm not downtown. I'm watching on television at the board meetings, and he really did an outstanding job. Yeah,
as a matter of fact, Mother, Frank Red made a good comment on the post. He said sometimes it's good for people to move on, but sometimes as a district we may need to just figure out a way to just give some people some extra money, some extra benefits, and not let good people get away.
Yes, I agree with that. I just wanted to, you probably heard me say this, but my granddaughter, my granddaughter, Samuel Doyle.
Oh, absolutely.
She is graduating from Medaille College on May the 18th at Klein Hansen Music Hall.
Wow.
And, she was a part of the Say Yes program.
Yes, I remember used to bring her when she was a high school student. She's graduated from college already.
Yes, and, everybody says that because they remember I used to take her in Somalia especially.
That's right.
When she was a little girl.
Age. That's right.
And so she's getting ready to graduate. And so I'm proud of her, but I do want to thank you because you, promoted that Say Yes program, and that's an excellent program for young people who are going to school so they can get help on their tuition. And one of the things she did share with me was that if you're in the Say Yes program and you're in college, you do have to keep your grades up.
That's right. You gotta stay eligible. Because if you're not eligible, you can't continue to get that scholarship. That's a good point.
Yes, so I'm certainly very proud of her, and I predict some very good things for her in the future.
That's right.
I just wanted to say this very quickly. I feel very strongly that all teachers should be evaluated. Because if you're doing what you are supposed to do, and you're effective with our students, you should not mind being evaluated. And it's so important because what teachers do in the classroom has an impact on our students and their achievements. So parents really need to get involved. They need to voice their opinions about this and not let this just disappear because it's so important.
And Mother Doyle, just remind people how long you were a teacher.
30 years.
So parents, hear this, parents. This is a 30-year veteran teacher who, I mean, and I know Mother Doyle was the teacher. You know that teacher when the other kids are acting up and the other teachers can't handle them? Mother Doyle was that teacher that they took them to.
Oh, yeah. I was the one.
And so she's saying that in order for us to get the best result, teachers must be evaluated. This is what a veteran teacher is saying.
I would say that very clearly, and also I'm going to do an article on that because a lot of people do read my column. But I want to make this quick announcement. You know, the slow roll that comes through Buffalo where you have hundreds and hundreds of people riding bicycles, I just want to let people know that starts this evening.
That's right.
At 6:30, and it's every Monday. And I want people to kind of be careful because if you run into the slow roll, you're going to be sitting in your car a while.
Yeah, I had that experience when they went through Central Park a couple of years ago.
Yes, I've had that experience too, Brother Sam. But it's now East Delavan. They're coming down East Delavan tonight, and they're also coming down Genesee. So you might want to avoid those streets so you don't have to sit in your car. And I'll just say this last thing. I was so frustrated and upset when I had to sit in my car for almost 40 minutes. I called the gentleman who is over. When this first started, I called him and I made a complaint.
Okay.
And I said to him, this is a great thing, but you need to give the schedule to the community.
There you go.
So people are aware. And, you know, they did that. So I appreciate it. So just wanted to give that announcement, Brother Sam. And thank you for all the work you're doing and keeping us up to date and informed. And all your hard work is why we have the things that we have, like the community schools. So I just wanted to say that. And you have a good day.
And Mother Doyle, thank you for your hard work, and thank you for appreciating the hard work that we've done in this community. And you're right, a lot of hard work went into getting us where we are today, and it's going to require even more hard work to take us forward. So thank you again, Mother Doyle. So let's take a comment. What kind of comments or questions we got coming across the Facebook Live feed?
We have one comment and one question. So the comment is, we need to hire more black teachers, especially male. Funds to certify substitute teachers, teachers' aides who are mostly black have been identified. We need to get this done within 2 years.
Okay, let's speak to that comment before we go to the question. So this is a really, really important discussion. The Education Trust just had a very, very, very powerful forum that took place at WNED about a week and a half ago, where we talked about the importance of educator equity. And here's another issue, everybody. This is what this comes down to. The reality is that we got about 75% of our students and our children in our communities, in our schools, that are minority students, black or brown students. But the reality is we got about 80% of our teachers, 85% of our teachers, who are white teachers who do not come from our community. The reality is the vast majority of our teachers are teachers who come into us from the suburbs. You know what I'm saying? They're not in and of our community. And I'm not suggesting that they are not good teachers, because you very well can be a good teacher in that circumstance. But the reality is that their skin in the game is very different than the skin in the game of parents who have children in this system. And so there's no question about the fact that we need to increase the number of teachers that come from our community. So, Lee, I know you're talking to me, but I'm not hearing you, so I don't know what that is.
Adrian on line one.
Okay, got you. All right. So, I'm going to come to the caller next, right? And then I'm going to come to the caller, and then I'm going to come back to the caller. But let me finish making this point about the educator equity, because this is a really, really important issue in our community. Educator equity, and thank you to Assemblywoman Crystal Peoples. I mean, this is like the third time I've said her name in the show, because she has showed up as an elected official who is delivering on education for our community. That's just a fact. So she has put money aside to take the vast majority of teacher aides in our community are African American. We are down to less than 10% African American teachers in our community. There's a time when, during DSEG, we was up to almost 30%. So over time, we have seen less and less people from our community representing the teaching ranks, which makes sense, because the reality is the vast majority of for many years, we weren't graduating but 50% of our students, if that. And when you talk about African American males, we were down to 25% of our students. Again, that's one of the good areas. We have seen that rise up to over 45% of our African Americans. That's nothing to be celebrating, but it's showing that we're moving in the right direction. So we need to deal with this educator equity issue. If you are interested in being the teacher. If you are a teacher aide, there's money been set aside in this year's budget for you to be able to get on course to be able to become a teacher. There's also, if you're a student, you want to be a teacher. We have the Grow Our Own program over at McKinley House School. So we have a number of ways to increase the number of minority teachers. We need men in the schools. We need more teachers. All right. So that educator equity that's going on. We're going to take our phone call, and then we're going to go ahead and we are going to get our question off of Facebook. Hey, so caller, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you, and I recognize your voice. Good morning, Adrian Romanowitz. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Sam. How are you?
Hey, it's a good day to be alive. Listen, I was going to spend. I'm glad you called because actually I had dedicated a portion of the show at the end of the show to talk about this letter. I saw a letter that came to us at the District Parent Coordinating Council with a full-out attack on you as a parent. That is correct. Why don't you talk to us a little about what it is? I mean, it's absolutely unacceptable, and we must do something about it. Why don't you tell the community, about the letter and what prompted the letter?
I will. So as we all know in our community, there's been an issue at City Honor School over a labor impasse, and it has to do with duties. And so we as parents, as concerned community citizens, have been trying to work. We've tried to work together to try to get this resolved so that we don't lose any teachers and so that our students don't have any negative disruption within their school days. We also know that this could affect the entire district, and we don't want it to happen.
Well, Adrian, Adrian, before you go further, let me just chime in here, and I want because you said work together. And I want to emphasize that because I've been working with you and I've watched the work that you've done online. And anybody who's following this could see that from the very beginning, your only effort, your only involvement on this is on how we work together. I mean, I've never seen you get caught up in taking a side of this or that. You've been talking about how to work together.
Not at all.
So how you end up being attacked, I have no idea.
Well, so that's the point. Like from the very beginning, when our group of parents got together, we started to say, okay, we've got a message here. It's students first, and we want to be diplomatic. We want to build bridges. We don't want to burn bridges. We want to bring community together. We wanted both districts and we wanted BTF to come together and to talk because that's the way you negotiate. It was a very positive way of approaching this whole issue. And yes, so out of that also came a request knowing that there was going to be a new proposal, and we put the fire under both sides. We asked the district to please come up with a best and final offer for these teachers. We also asked the BTF to please come back to the negotiating table. Then we heard from many teachers that they felt that their voices weren't being heard. So they had asked for a vote on the issue. They had not gotten that chance. So we very respectfully wrote a letter last week. It's actually not even a small group of people because it really talks, it's pretty much the support, the parents that we had and even teachers that were on a petition that was about 102 names. And that was in support of come together, figure this out, let the teachers vote. So we've got a lot of names that are associated with this. So we respectfully.
Well, let me also say this. Let me emphasize this other point, Adrian, because I recall you were one of the people when the district came and met with parents and said that we've made an offer. I remember you specifically, talking in a couple meetings where you said the district needs to step up and make a best and final offer. And I seen the district respond. The district responded, and they made a best and final offer. So you put the pressure on the district to step up this group, and then you also said the same thing to the teachers. Listen, what we're hearing on the teacher side of it is that they need to give the teachers the right to vote. We can't just have the union making a decision for everybody because we've been hearing that the teachers have not been given that right. That was just like a request made to the district, a request was made to the union. And how did that justify an attack on you in this letter saying you're trying to pit teachers against teachers and parents against teachers?
And I'll tell you that is the thing that we have really prided ourselves on throughout this entire thing. We have not taken sides. We have always said leave the politics out of this because all of this stuff, all of the bullying, all of the calling people names, distorting truth, is that helping our children in any way? We are a group that has said, no, this students first. Students first is what we always have to have in mind with anything that we do. So for it to seem like a threat that we are saying, hey, we understand as parents, and correct us if we're wrong, but we understand as parents that teachers' voices have not been heard, and that's a concern of ours, and we feel that that's a valid concern. So yes,
and we've heard directly from teachers. This is not something we're, surmising or we are thinking. Teachers are talking to us, and they feel that they're going to be retaliated against, and so they talk to us as parents to have their voice heard.
Absolutely, and I will say, so, right, and out of this very peaceful, very, very neutral request comes the attack letter. And I mean, that letter, as a matter of fact, oddly, my name is all over it, and it was supposed to go directly to me. It never came to me. It went apparently all over the city of Buffalo, even made it to the Common Council. I only received it because a couple of people forwarded it to me.
So it was basically a smear attack. I mean, it's the second one, because the same thing was done earlier this year to Dr. Wendy Mastrada, the first vice president of DPCC. So we see the teachers union president, because I don't want to ascribe this to all teachers, because this is specifically the teachers union president who wrote an attack letter about you that he didn't even send to you.
Exactly. And I have had open communication with the BTF on multiple, over the course of the past couple of months, 3 months. I have always received their emails. I have always received their calls. So why this time would I have not received this? I mean, it's just preposterous. But it's terribly upsetting. It's beyond inappropriate for the president of an organization to bully, slander, and falsely attack the character of a parent who has done nothing but been on the right side of this issue and has spoken to resolution and in a positive way.
Well, let me say this, Adrian. This is a really important point. So, first of all, you're absolutely right. We got teachers union. We have to stop the bullying. They walked around the city bullying people for so long that they think they can just get away with bullying, and that we're just going to stand down and just let them bully us, and we ain't going to do nothing about it. And I'm glad. So, what the first thing I want to do to you and Dr. Wendy Mastrada, who has been out there as a voice on this, is say, listen, stay strong. As a parent group, we back you. As a community group, we back you. Do not let this bullying cause you to back down, because we see the same thing coming out of the White House. We see the same thing this is a whole spirit of bullying. It's almost like we're trying to create a culture where you can bully to make things be the way you want them to be. You can have your own opinion, but you can't have your own facts. The facts are, Adrian, you have called for people to work together for a solution. We have, as a DPCC, has called for people to work together for a solution. We've actually asked for Say Yes to Education to come in to be a convener to do a process to bring everybody to the table so we can continue to work together collaboratively. The superintendent is trying to have that process going forward. So hopefully we will come up with a resolution for this and be able to work together to make good progress going forward.
I really hope so, because, I mean, this is nothing more than a distraction. And, I mean, I absolutely will not be intimidated, and I will not back down, because you know what? I mean, this is not just about my child, although she stands to lose so much in this situation. I mean, we are talking about the wonderful teachers we have, not only in City Honors, but throughout our entire district. We are talking about every kid. We're talking about a ripple effect. If they can't decide on something, if they can't come to a resolution, instead of spending their time bullying and attacking parents, then nothing is going to happen. I mean, why does that, in any normal person's mind, why does that seem like an appropriate way to go?
Well,
and I will tell you something. I shared that letter with my friends over the weekend, and they laughed at it because they said, this is so far from the truth, and this person clearly does not know you at all. And, you know, here's an unfortunate thing. This person actually does know me, and he does know my father, who served in education as a Buffalo public school principal for years and years and years.
Well,
when I called Ramor and told him that I wanted to work on this collaboratively, and can we come up with a solution, his first thing to me was, Adrian, is there any way that we can clone your dad's DNA and bring him back to the Buffalo public schools? We loved his service.
Well,
and we
Adrian,
loved what he did.
thank you. Thank your dad for his service. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for stepping up on this issue. And again, we're going to keep this conversation going because it's so important that parents stand together in unity in the best interest of our children. So thank you a lot, Adrian. All right?
Thank you, Sam. We'll be in touch.
Okay, and so this is really important for everybody to know. What really at the underlying this issue is that we're talking about a situation where the teachers at City Honors will not have to do any additional duties like lunch duty, taking kids out of the bus, while every other teacher in the district got to do it. I mean, that's ultimately what we're talking about. It's so patently unfair. And that fact that we've come together as parents and said that we don't want to see this unfairness come leading to an attack, I mean, it's just unacceptable. But again, we will not be bullied. We're going to stand together in unity. We're going to try to work together to collaborate. We're going to do our last break, and then we're going to take our phone call. We got a question first. And then we're going to take our phone call. But we're going to take our last break. So you listen to us Living Now at 96.5 on your FM dial, 1080 on your AM dial. And so we will see you on the other side of the break as we go to pay some bills.
Do you want to increase your home's value? Do you want to lower your energy bills? Are you in need of affordable financing for your next home improvement project? The CAO Home Improvement Resource Program can help. Just come to their monthly HIRP orientation session every second Wednesday of the month at 564 Dodge Street, Building 400. HIRP staff will help identify the resources you need to get financed, and they'll even help you with completing your application. You won't know what you qualify for until you call them today at 881-6543. That's 881-6543. Learn about all the home improvement programs you may be eligible for and ask about the affordable financing program that can help turn your house into your dream home. Call 881-6543 for more info. It's the Home Improvement Resource Program, restoring value to neighborhoods across Erie County, one house at a time. Brought to you by the Community Action Organization of Erie County.
All right, Living Now. You join us back here on Living Now at 96.5 on your FM dial, WUFO. If you want to continue, you want to join us for this conversation, we've been having a great discussion as it relates to education and our children. You can join us by calling 837-1112. That's 837-1112. The phone lines are open. We got a couple questions on our Facebook live feed. So what's one of the questions, Emmanuel?
One question is, what are your thoughts on county exec polling cards now trying to consolidate school districts?
Well, first of all, for those people who don't know the history, we've been down this road before, right? So, and it's interesting that we're going down this road again because we're going to see what happens. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Because remember many years ago when we were trying to, consolidate, we was trying to make Buffalo a regional city. We were trying to do the consolidation. Local school districts did not, matter of fact, to me, that was the deal breaker. The reason why we ultimately did not consolidate and make Buffalo a metropolitan city, much like a Toronto or Cincinnati, other cities across the country, was because of this issue of consolidating the school districts. Now, whether it's a good move or not, I think obviously in terms of the cost of operating it and the size of some of these school districts, I think County Executive Colin Tyler has made some great points. There's no question about there's some, interesting rationale. Being very frank with you, where my particular interest is at is around Buffalo Public School District, and where my children go, where the children in the community I'm from go to, and so that's where I have most of my information. I don't have a lot of information about the details of that, so I'm not going to weigh in. I try to stay in my lane and comment on stuff that I got background information on. I don't got enough background information on it, but I do know historically that has been a deal breaker. That has not been something that has been easy to do in West New York, so I think he has his hands full trying to go down that road. And to me, it's a real problem. It talks about, it shows the segregation that has gone on in the city. I mean, because fundamentally, there was a time when you had a residency requirement in Buffalo. You know, in order to be a teacher in Buffalo, you have to live in Buffalo. You know, the lack of that residency requirement, I think, hurts our school district. I think it hurts our city. The lack of a residency requirement for police officers, you know, for firefighters. I mean, for people should live in our community, who work in our community. That way we will be able to be a stronger community. But again, I don't want to deviate. I do want to stay in my lane and talk about what I do know a little bit more about. So let's go to our caller. We got another call on the line. Caller, are you there?
Yes, sir. How are you doing today?
Oh, it's a beautiful day to be alive. I ain't got no complaints. How you doing today, Brother Kamal?
I'm thankful for another day also. Beautiful spring seems like it's finally actually sprung.
Yes.
I just want I want you and people to remember what the mission statement of the Buffalo Board of Education is putting students and families first. So the idea to ensure high academic achievement for all. So the idea of putting students first is not something that we invented or that we came up with. That's their mission statement. That's what their purpose is, putting students and families first to ensure high academic achievement for all. And I understand you're addressing the issue right now, but I hope you can also talk about the DPCC when the next meeting is.
Okay.
And the very successful parent, I'm not sure exactly how it was
Summit.
called, Parent Summit this weekend. It was all
big shout outs to Dr. Ramona Reynolds and Wendy Mistretta and all the team of people who have planned that event. It was a huge success. So super shout out to Dr. Eric Rosser, the superintendent, school board, parents, leaders across the district who organized to make that a great event yesterday on Saturday.
It was very well organized and very, very well attended. So, I think we have to celebrate our victories. We don't need to whitewash. We don't need to pretend everything is perfect. There's a lot of more work to do, and we need to do that work. And we need to address the issues as they come up. So I'm glad that you're addressing this head on, hitting it, hopefully nipping it at the bud, and making people aware that there is something that they can do about it. We don't have to sit back and just be victim to someone else's master plan. You can come to the DPCC meeting. You can come to the next board meeting. You can make your voice and your actions heard to make sure that students and families are put first and that we do have high academic achievement for all. I'll keep listening, but keep up the good work, sir.
Thank you so much, Brother Kamal. Thank you for your consistency. Consistency is a powerful thing. I think a lot of the success that we've had as a district parent coordinating council and parent leaders is because of consistency. And you're consistently at the Board of Education meetings. You're consistently calling on this show and other shows, reminding us that the district's mission is putting children and families first to ensure high academic achievement for all. So,
beautiful words. Now they got to live up to it.
Yes, sir. It is, and it's on us to make sure they do that.
Yes,
so I got a couple ways that I think we should go about doing that. But I guess there's another question coming from Facebook Live.
There's a comment
about consolidation. Got it.
Okay.
Consolidation will lead to shared resources and services within the districts and increased opportunity for the students. I think Buffalo and its surrounding suburbs should seriously look at a metropolitan school district.
Okay, so I appreciate the comment, and anything that makes us better, I think, is something that we should consider. I think, having a metropolitan school district potentially can, break up some of this, this division that we have among us and hopefully put us in a situation where, as opposed to having teachers who live in the suburbs, whose children go to schools in good standing and who have 80 and 90% graduation rates and work in the city, and don't want to be evaluated and have
Eula on one.
50 and 60% graduation rates, hopefully, that maybe be a solution. I think we have to keep our mind open and looking to create solutions that's going to move us in the right direction. And I'm going to give you, I know we got a call online, but we talked about educator equity. There's one other issue I want to introduce in this conversation that we have to talk about and we have to deal with it. And this is what we call access to rigorous coursework. Listen, family, you may not notice this is a real important point. If you have a child that's in high school, first of all parents who have a child in high school, you need to find out how many credits your child got towards graduation. Every child in Buffalo Public and Charter High School that graduate gets to go to college, say yes to education scholarships. You don't wait to the end to figure out whether your child's going to graduate or not. Know if your child's on track to graduate. But here's a very important point for a select group of children in our school district, right? In order for you to go to the top colleges and universities in our country, which our children potentially can go to now, You have to take certain courses while you're in high school. In other words, you have to take certain courses while you're in elementary school. If you are not taking algebra while you're in 7th or 8th grade, if you're not taking earth science while you're in 7th or 8th grade, you're not going to be able to take the calculuses and the sciences that you need when you become a senior to get into the top colleges and universities. So you hear people going around all the time talking about, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be this. In order to be those things, you have to get into certain colleges and universities. You have to have certain grades. You have to take certain courses. Listen, there's only one school in our whole city that actually has all the courses you need to get into a top college or university. That is City Honors. So the AP classes that you need, there's some schools in our school community that don't have no AP courses. Now, again, this is an issue that Dr. Cash is addressing, but we as parents got to make demands and say that we want to see resources being spent to make sure our children who can do this advanced placement work is getting the opportunity by having the classes in the school. Even if you don't have no AP courses in the school, you can't even take the courses. I mean, so we can't have all these high schools that don't have any AP courses, don't have the AP courses that we need, and we can't have just this City Honors sitting up on a hill being the one school that if you don't get into that, your child basically can't get into a top college or university. Obviously, this is an issue that the superintendent is addressing. I'm just simply saying as parents, we have to stay on top of this. We have to have a vision of better for our children. And if we don't, we end up with reacting later because we don't have what we need in place, when it needs to be in place. So, having said that, I see that we got another caller. Caller, you are on the line.
Hi, Sam. Eula, how you doing?
Hey, Eula, how you doing? I haven't talked to you for a while.
My granddaughter graduated from 4-year nursing school down in Georgia, Clayton
Well,
County.
congratulations. I know you're proud.
Years old, BS in nursing.
Yes.
I wanted to become a nurse. I never could get in.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I know you're proud of your granddaughter.
Qualified. So I just prepared my son and my grandchildren. Now, my son mentored one of my little nephews, and he lives in Rochester, and he encouraged them to go to Hampton, which he did down there in Virginia, and he ended up going into education. He started off in Chicago. Now he is a principal of a grammar school in Cleveland, Ohio.
Wow. See, listen, that's the example that we're looking for.
And I've been encouraging our young people. We need more black teachers. I had one cousin that retired as a principal here in Buffalo. I don't care to mention his name. But anyhow, he did quite well. But I'm encouraging our young people, go to school, become teachers. And just think, husband and wife working as teachers. That's a pretty decent income.
That's a decent living, no question about it.
I'm trying to encourage our young people especially.
Yes,
and
sir.
Take care now. Good show.
Thank you so much, Eula. You know what? You make a wonderful point. You know who's a great example is Principal Baker over at MST. Principal Baker was at the Educator Equity Forum, and his testimony, his story is a wonderful story. He talked about how he was a teacher aide. That's what he was. He was a teacher aide at the school. His wife, and everybody know Melody Baker over United Way, his wife talked to him about going to school to become a teacher. He went to school. He became a teacher from being a teacher aide, and now he's a principal. He's a principal and a good principal over at MST School. So thank you for encouraging our young people. Keep encouraging black males in particular, but everybody, we got to become teachers in our own community. I want to thank you. Thanks a lot, Eula.
Okay,
I want to do a special shout out to WFO. I mean, because the reality is, I listened to the show with Bishop Badger this weekend. I listened to Rosh Jomo's show. I listened to Buffalo on Fire. I mean, the WFO has really got this message out about what we need to be doing in this community as relates to our school. It's almost like our center for getting information to make sure that we are able to be, in the know about what's going on in our community. I mean, that's not an easy.
Duncan on one.
That's not an easy thing to do to make radio time available to get that message out. So thank you to WFO, and we're going to take the next caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Hey, I recognize that voice. Good morning. Young leader in our community, Brother Duncan Kirkwood. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well, Sam. Great show today. You got a lot of viewers, a lot of listeners. I've really enjoyed it. I wanted to ask if you could talk, because you kind of breezed through it, talk a little bit more about the importance and the potential transformation that next year could bring to our city, or may bring to our city, because of the school board election where all the seats are up, the teachers union contract, the superintendent's contract is up at the end of next year, and hopefully it'll stay. But can you just talk about how next year could potentially be a watershed moment in the education future of our city.
It
and how
will
people
be.
should get involved.
First of all, thank you for bringing that up.
And I'll just hang up and listen.
Thank you for bringing that up. Let me tell everybody, listen, everybody, those who tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for today. So many of the things that we see going on in Buffalo Public Schools is because of work we did yesterday. Listen, next year is going to be the year. It is going to be the year. If you got time tomorrow, every second Tuesday of the month, we have a district parent coordinating council meeting at the Mikowski School at 6 to 8 p.m. At Mikowski School, 1095 Jefferson Avenue. In order for us to be effective, we got to work together as a group. Individual parents can fight for their child, and you should. That's the first thing you should do. Take full and complete responsibility for your child. But it's the work that we got to do as a group that's going to make a difference. And next year is going to be the year. All the reasons that Duncan just stated, I mean, every school board member is going to be up. I've heard at least 4 or 5 of them not even running for re-election. So it's going to be a critical year, and people need to get involved now to be prepared for next year. So thanks for bringing that up, Duncan. Got another caller. Caller, you're on the line.
Yes, sir. I wanted to also say that we need to make better use of our pool of substitute teachers. Each substitute teacher is a degreed professional, and there seems to be very little pathways for them to actually become permanent teachers in the system. Most of them are people of color, and I think we need to make a better pathway so we can utilize that resource and make them permanent teachers in the system.
Great point. And so hopefully some of those resources that have been set aside for the teacher aides can be used for substitute teachers.
Not
and
just
I know, can be used for substitute teachers.
Sir.
And so, again, this is a part of what our responsibility is. We have to create solutions. So often we get caught up in complaining. We don't use the legislative process. We don't use the budgeting process. We don't use the public policy process to solve problems. And that's what our legislators are for. Assemblywoman Crystal Peoples, for the 5th time I'm saying her name, again, is one of those people who have been really instrumental in that. We've seen Mayor Brown put additional money into education out of the budget this year. And so there's so many good things going on in Buffalo Public Schools. Listen, family, we've never been in a better place. We got to resist the effort, of the bullies to try to bully us into what we used to be. I think that, if we have a strong parent force, we have a strong community force, that will neutralize the bullying of the union, and the union can be a great partner. They can partner with us, but if they can bully you, they're going to bully you. You know how bullies are. If they can bully you, they will. But if they see that they can't, they may be a good partner that can work with us and be able to make this community way, way better than we found it. It's been awesome. Mr. Hare's going to be back next week, but it's been awesome being on the show with you this week. This is Living Now, 96.5 on your FM dial. See you next week.